Welcome my friends to another video where we're gonna start the actual proper work. As we set up our front end and back end, it is time now to come back to our back end and let's start. So the first thing would be to register our user. So we have to do that. So we're gonna have a user. So that user should be represented in a user model. What that means, because we want to add something to our database, let's say we register, want to add that user to the database, to MongoDB. So to do that, we have to say to the database, okay, this is the user schema. This is the attributes or the properties that user have. So this user have a name, have a certain like email, have a phone number, whatever, have a password. All of these attributes is the schema I want you, when I add a user, to look through it and see if it's the same, then you add it. If there is some sort of wrong validation, then don't add it. All of those tests should be based, the test should be based on that schema. This is simply what is for. So we're gonna create a user model, then we're gonna learn the proper validation for Mongo schema, and then we'll use validator in the model schema itself. So let's do it. I want you to go back to the source, and then let's go to the models folder, and then you will create an index.js first, and then also you will create a new file that is called user model.js. And the first thing I want you to do, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see clearly, import mongoose from mongoose. This is the first thing that we need to do. And after, okay, so we've done that. And then we have to create a schema. So we're going to go const, and then we're going to call this user schema. And simply we're going to go to mongoose and then schema. And we're going to define all the properties right here. We're going to start by the name, for example. And then the type of it is going to be string. You see how we define this? It's very simple. And then we're going to say it's required. Okay, so this is actually required. You can do required true. Okay, so if you went and tried to add this user and you didn't add the name, it's going to throw an error that this name is actually required and you didn't add it. For me, I like to go one extra step by providing some friendly messages. Like I'd say true, but I'll also tell you exactly the message I want. Like for please provide your name. This is a message that is actually quite more understandable. So this is my way of doing things. When I add like some sorts of schemas, I always try to do all sorts of validations right here also. I have 3 rules that you should respect, and this is the right way for if you want to be a good developer. And when you have some sort of data, you validate it in the front end, then you validate it in the server, then you validate also the schemas, 3 of them. So even if you went and changed, for example, the front end, you change the back end, those schemas, for example, I changed the front end, I still have the back end verified or like validated, and also the schema. I take my schema and try to use it in another project that maybe not have the validation somewhere, it has that validation. Because act like this is separated. You always have to act like this. Don't tell me, oh, I validated the front end, I shouldn't do that in the back end. Or I validated the controller, I shouldn't do it like in the schemas. That is the wrong way to do it. You always validate your data again and again. It's very important. So that was a rant. So let me go to the email now, and I will define the type to be string. And you see how we'll do the validation. You will respect the commitment on it. So for required, it's going to be also true. And then we'll say, please provide your email address. It's required. The second thing, it should be unique. That means you cannot have 2 emails at the same, okay? Because every use that is going to be register should be one time, okay? You cannot use the email to register twice. So is it unique? Also, it's going to be true. And then what we will see, like this email address already exists. So you cannot use that again. Okay. And then we will go, and then we'll have to make it lowercase. And then this is going to be true. This is simply going to be transforming it, or like changing it to all lowercase. If I had like uppercase letter, it's going to transform them to lowercase. Okay. And then we'll have a validate, And this validate is simply, we can use this to validate the data that we have. And I'm gonna tell you about a cool package that we will use, which called validator. This is the package that I'm talking about. It allows you to validate all the types of data you have. So simply, you can make sure that you have a string. You can make sure, for example, it is like equal, it is contains, is it after, is it alpha, all this stuff. Is it an email? Is it a phone number? Is it like certain bytes? Is it a currency? Is it a date? Is it a data URL? It has everything you would want. It actually has it. This is the best validation tool to define the type of something. So we have to use it. We need to get hold on this beautiful tool that will help us a lot. So I'm gonna go and open a new terminal tab, and I'm gonna go yarn add and then validator and then enter, and then let's wait till it's installed. And then I'm gonna go back to my model. I'm gonna go to the top and then import validator from validator. Okay, it's said installing, but we've done that. And then I'm gonna go to the validate right here and would say is email. Just simply all I have to do to make sure it's an email or not. And if it's not, so we done the validation, it's not, so we're gonna go please provide a valid email address. See how smooth this is? Strong validation. Sorry, this is validator. Okay, dot is email. So this is strong validation. And then we'll go under that, and then we'll go picture. And this picture simply is gonna be, the type of it is string, and then we will have to add a default value, which is like the default picture. If we add no picture, we didn't add it, we should add the default value. So I have this default picture right here that we will actually use. I uploaded it in Cloudinary myself, so it is there. So you're always gonna have it there, and we can actually use that. So this is the default value for that. And then also I will have the status, which is simply also gonna be type string, and then we'll go to the default value. It's gonna be like something, hey there, and then I am using WhatsApp. Okay, so really trying to make this work. And then I can go under that, and I will go to password now, and this password, simply the type of it is string, of course. And then we'll make sure it is required, so required it is true, and then we'll go please provide your password. And then under that, we will make a minimum length, for example, and we will say something like 6. And then we'll say, please make sure your password is at least 6 characters long. And then you would actually be able to do the same if you want to make sure the password is not more than something, which is something also I respect. So most people make it like 64 or 128. So depending if we want to, this is because we just like, teaching you. So I'm going to go max length. I'm going to make it 128. And then I'm going to go and say, please make sure your password is less than 128 character longs, or you can use the same message here, and you go with something like, please make sure your password is between 6 and 128. So that is the way to do all of this. Let me zoom out a bit. You see, this is how you properly add your schema and actually validate it. And then we'll do something right here. We will see the name I want it to be. So I'm going to go collection right here. So the collection, so we want to save this in the database under the name, like inside the users like this. So when I add a user, is going to be inside users like this. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, and then let me add another thing, which is going to be timestamps timestamps, which is going to be also true to add the created ads and also updated ads. This is very important to add them this way. I'm just making sure that I didn't forget anything. So all this, so now when you add a new document, it's gonna be inside the collection that is named user. This is all we're trying to do. And also we add timestamps. So when you add something, it's gonna add two attributes: created at, which is the current date you added the user, and also the second one is updated at, which is in the beginning is going to be the same as created at, but if you went and updated something, it's going to change to the latest update that you made. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So let's not show you that. Now let me go and actually const, and then let me create the user model. So I'm going to go user model right here, and what I'm going to go is go to Mongoose, and then I will go to model.model right here. Some people go to models and then .user model to check if it does exist or not, because it does. If it does exist, then we'll have it. If not, then we will go Mongoose and then .model, and then we'll name it something like, let me name it user model or user, whatever you want to. You know, you can have your own opinion right here. And then I will go and use the user schema right here. Okay, and then I will go at the end and I'm going to go export default and then user model. And that's it. So I know we've taken our time doing this. Let me check if we have any errors right here. Okay, everything is fine. So, you know, I've taken my time to do this actually, but there is a reason, because this is the first one. So as we're doing it first time, I wanted to explain everything for you. But when we add the other schemas, of course, I'm not going to be talking about this in details. Now what you have to do, go back to the index right here, and then import user model from, and then user model.js right here. And then, sorry, and you go right here, export, and then export user model. Okay. So all the models going to be in this index, and whenever I want something, I can just get it exactly from this index. It's like importing something and then re-exporting it here. It is a good way to do things, as we've done with isVideos and routes. So yeah, this is it for the model, and next video we will start to create the actual user.